Oh, welcome and thank you for coming this session. Today, I'd like to make a presentation about effective Flutter Apps development with Firebase and tips. Let's start. Oh, Let me introduce myself shortly. I'm Kenichi Kambara from Tokyo, Japan. I'm very excited for this opportunity. I work at NTT Technocross as a technology evangelist, and my work is technical support for developing mobile application. I love new technologies and mobile application development, or especially Flutter. And my Twitter account is called Droid. After this presentation, I'll upload this material and tweet the URL. So I hope you check it. Here is today's agenda. First topic is introduction to Firebase. Second topic is get started with Flutter and Firebase. Third topic is today's main topic, use cases and development tips. Finally, I'd like to add some tips for development acceleration. Let's start. As you know, Firebase is embraced by Google. Embrace means a mobile backend as a service. On my developing my mobile apps, I always use Firebase because Firebase is a very great technology. So my development speed has been improving. Firebase has so many features. Mainly, there are three main categories: development, grow, and earn. At develop category, there are a lot of features for developers. For example, some cloud database, cloud messaging, storage, remote config, test and more. Next, at grow category, there are some useful features for growing our apps. For example, a notification for app user, inviting a new user to our apps, and more. Finally, at a category, there are some features for getting money, such as AdMob. These are Firebase overview. By the way, there are so many features a mobile developers want. First is authentication. And most of mobile apps require authentication feature, such as logging with Google, Facebook, Twitter, and more. Second is cloud integration. Most of mobile apps keep apps data on the cloud. By this backup feature, we can easily synchronize our data between cloud and smartphone. It's a very important feature. Third is a crash log. Unfortunately, some crashes will occur on using apps. For the developer, the log is very important for analyzing them. By using this feature, it will assist us. Furthermore, there are so many features mobile developers want. By using Firebase, all of problems will be solved. For example, for implementing an authentication feature, we can use Firebase authentication. For cloud integration, we can use a Cloud Firestore. For analyzing crash problems, we can use Firebase Crash Detects. There are so many features in Firebase. Most of apps require user identification, but generally, implementing authentication feature is so difficult for developers because there are so many points we must take care. And by using a Firebase authentication, we can easily add sign-in feature to our apps. For all of devices, we can provide the same user experience. Firebase authentication provides a useful SDK, backend services, and UI component for user authentication. And it supports a lot of authentication, such as password, phone number, some federation providers, such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, and more. By using this feature, we can easily meet these requirements. Next, Cloud File Store. It's so flexible and scalable and non-SQL database, as well as real-time database. Cloud File Store provides automatic synchronization between smartphone and cloud. So by using a Cloud File Store, we can easily implement these features on our apps. Next is Firebase Cross-Lytics. It's a cross-reporting tool. Unfortunately, some apps occur crashes on using apps, so we developers must improve the application quality by adding this feature to our apps. We can easily analyze more details, such as crash causes. It's very useful service for developers. Let's move on to the next topic, get started with Flutter and Firebase. I think most of attendees already use Flutter and Firebase. But I think there are some developers unfamiliar with Flutter or Firebase. So I'd like to introduce the steps for getting started with Flutter and Firebase. At first, first step is installing development tools such as Android Studio, VS Code, or any editors. And more details can be checked on the Firebase official website. Second step, installing Flutter SDK. After Git clone, we can start Flutter Apps Development. Furthermore, we need to add Flutter and that plugin for our IDEs. Here is an example on Android Studio. By using this plugin, we can accelerate Flutter Apps development. This plugin assists our application development. Third step is login to Firebase console. And we need to create one Firebase project for each app. And we need some configurations. Our next step is to register our application ID. For example, package name for Android, bundle ID for iOS. Next is download this file to our local PC. Because these configuration files, such as Google Services.json or Google Services info.plist, have any connection information for Firebase. So we must place these files onto our local directory. By processing this step, we can start our Flutter and Firebase application development. Next, these are optional steps. If we want to use a specific feature such as Firebase authentication, Cloud File Store, we must configure on each feature. For example, on Firebase authentication, we must check flags whose authentication we want to support. Also, before starting a Cloudflare store, we must create database in advance. The final step is adding a Flutterfire plugin into our project. Flutterfire is plugins for enabling us to use Firebase feature on our Flutter project. It must be defined on pubspec.yaml file for using each Firebase feature. For example, for using Firebase Core, I must define a Firebase Core plugin on this file. As the same way, for using Firebase authentication, I must define Firebase auth plugin. For using a Cloudflare Store, we must define a Cloudflare Store plugin onto this file. I'd like to share one tip about Flutterfire. By checking a Flutterfire official website, we can confirm more detail. Flutterfire is a plugin collection for Firebase because Flutterfire includes a lot of plugins for using a Firebase feature. Flutterfire is a plugin collection. So the status such as development or support are very different on each feature. For example, one feature supports all of platforms such as Android, iOS, web, and more. But other feature may support only mobile platform. We can get this information on this website. So I recommend you would check it. Okay, let's move on to the main topic, use cases and our development tips. I developed some Flutter applications using Firebase. So I'd like to talk about some tips based on my experience. Here is my Flutter application. It's just a to-do managing app. It supports both Android and iOS. Based on my experience, I'd like to more details. Before I'd like to demonstrate this app. This is the top screen of my app. There are some ways to log in. Okay, let's start. This time, after checking Google sign-in feature and checking my account, I can check my to-do list and checking one to-do task. I can check more detail. And swiping to next screen, I can check my favorite to-do task. And to add one new task, pushing floating action button and choosing icon for identifying my to-do task and choosing due date and adding important flag and save. And by doing this process, we can add a new to-do to my app. And the data will be automatically synchronized to Firebase. It's my application. I'd like to talk about some use case on mobile apps. First case is authentication. For app users, it's very difficult for requiring to create the original user account for only this app. So I think it's very important for us to support social login features such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, and more. Furthermore, some users don't want to do such login. So I've decided to support anonymous login feature. By supporting that, a user can use this app without any login. Also, managing user data on-premise or a private server instance will require expensive costs. When we use Firebase authentication, we can manage user data on the cloud. So it's very uh, useful service. Okay, here are some captures of front-end mobile apps and back-end Firebase console. On Firebase console, we can switch on or off a Firebase authentication feature. For example, when we would like to support a Google sign-in, all we have to do is to switch on Google sign-in. On the other hand, for example, some third-party authentication, such as Facebook, Twitter, require extra information, such as application ID or application key for authentication. So we need to register this information on Firebase console. For implementing authentication on our apps, we need to add some plugins into pubspec.yaml of our app. At first, we need to add a first-line Firebase auth plugin. It's essential and common plugin for using a Firebase authentication, but that's not enough. We need to use extra plugins for supporting each authentication, such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, Apple. For example, a second line Google Sign-in plugin is for using Google authentication. Third line, Flutter Facebook login plugin is for supporting Facebook authentication. The rest is the same way. To implement user authentication, here is one tip. There are some plugins for supporting the same authentication on Flutter pub.dev plugin website. And so we need to use the appropriate plugin. This is a list I use on my app. So it will operate regularly on your app. I hope it will assist you to develop authentication features. Here is a code example for Google authentication. Uh, First line, getting a Firebase instance, it's for authenticating a user on Firebase. Second line, getting the Google sign-in instance. It's for authenticating Google user. In the same way, there are some dated class for Google sign-in account, Google sign-in authentication. Before authentication, the credential data such as ID token and access token are required. After calling sign with credential function, we can authenticate the user by Google sign-in. Here is one more tip about authentication. To support this feature on our app, we must add certificate fingerprint with debug version and release version on Firebase console. If we forget to register them, on Firebase console, our app always fails to authenticate, even if the user imports a right user account. So it's very important point on using Firebase authentication. Our second use case is a cloud file store for managing our app's data. And some use case, some user may have multiple smartphones, 2 devices, 3 devices, 20 devices or more. It's a joke, but even if the user have one smartphone, once the user may purchase a new smartphone. In this case, he or she needs to transfer all of the data to the new smartphone. So, if possible, uh, we developers should support the cloud backup feature. And in the world, there are a lot of smartphone users, not only Android, but also iPhone. So if possible, we should support both Android and iOS. Uh, Finally, supporting offline is also important. For example, when we get on plane or climbing up the mountain, we may not use any internet connection. In this case, user may want to use app in offline. So I'd like to support offline mode at minimal cost. By using Firestore, we can easily implement these requirements. Here are screen captures of our front-end mobile apps and back-end Firebase console. To the data are stored on Firebase, Firestore as a right trigger. When I add or update some data on smartphone, this data are automatically synchronized into a cloud file store. I'd like to demonstrate about a cloud file store. Please look at our smartphone screen. Let's start. For example, changing the text from 100 package to 300 package, and changing due date to another date, and adding our important flag and save. All these data are automatically refreshed onto the file store. It's very useful. Next, I'd like to demonstrate the opposite case. For example, let's say you have two smartphones. When you change your to-do data on your first smartphone, you will expect the new data can be available on your second smartphone. I'll show you demonstrate this case. To simulate this case, I'll use Firebase console for changing or user master data. Let's start. Please look at Firebase console screen. This time, I'd like to change the title purchase proteins to purchase books and update. These data are automatically transferred to smartphone screen. In this way, by using Firestore, we can easily implement this feature. Okay, next slide. In my opinion, one of the most important points is designing a data structure on Firestore. For example, my app targets multiple users, so I must manage multiple data for each user. So we must take care about designing data structure on file store. For example, one to-do data is such this. One data holds multiple key value type data. Content feed keeps to this content. Create fields keeps data created date. Icon ID for identifying apps icon is done, remind is started as flag. Other data are the same way. The next important point is getting for Firebase important technical terms. Collection, document, and data. These are very important terms. My to-do app must keep multiple to-do data for each user. First time is data. It means each column for one to-do, such as to-do's title, data, or other one column. A second time is document. One document matches one to-do. One document includes multiple data. Final time is a collection. One collection can keep multiple documents in it. So collection means the collection for including multiple documents. These three keywords are so important. Please keep them on your head. Okay, next slide. There is an important notice about collection document. A collection can include multiple documents in it, but the collection cannot include other collection in it. It's very important rule. In the same way, a document can include other collection, but the document cannot include other document or in it. These are important notices on designing data structures. I'd like to show more details based on my app. In my application, I put one collection for storing multiple users. Furthermore, I need to store to-do data under user document. Unfortunately, I cannot place to-do data under user IT document directory. And so I put one collection as a glue between user ID document and to-do data document. Please remember the data structure, collection, document, collection, document. Please keep this data structure in your mind. Okay, let's move on to a code sample. Here is a code sample for writing data. I'll show you how to write one data onto the file store. Second line, file store instance is for getting Firebase instance. Third line, collection function is for getting this app's user ID's collection. Next line, document function is for accessing a specified user document by giving a user ID. Next, collection function is for accessing a specified users to the collection. Next, document function is for accessing a specified to the document. In this way, by calling collection, document, we can access a specified to-do document. Okay, next, these parts are for creating to-do data instance, setting key value data such as title, content, and others. In this way, we can write a to-do data onto file store. Okay, next slide. This is an example for reading to-do data from a file store. As the same way, at first we get a file store instance. Other lines are same. Next, here is a step for getting to-do data collection from file store. Snapshot means data of file store. Also, to-do is a class I defined in my app. And I set some data for this to-do class instance. Finally, we can get to-do data as a list of to-do. Next, here is an important point for using file store. It's called rules. By writing of these rules on Firebase console, we can do access control for file store. I'll show you some examples. First definition means permitting read and write operation before the specific date. User can access our database before this date, but after this date, they can't. This definition is used on application testing phase. Second definition means permitting read and write permission for authorized user. Only authorized user can access the database. I'd like to share one tip about rules. When we will implement these rules for file store, we can use a rule playground. By using this tool, we can simulate some operations such as get, create, update, delete, and authorized status. Authorized or not authorized. It's a very useful tool. And one more topic about file store. Even though we cannot get any internet connection, and this offline feature is very useful for developing this feature. Okay, let's move on to the final topic, development acceleration. Here are some tips for accelerating our development. First tip is avoiding boilerplate. Our second tip is utilizing useful templates. Here is a sample code. To create a stateless widget, we must write this code. It's not long, but it requires 5 lines. Here is the next sample. To create a stateful widget, we must write this code. It requires about 10 lines. Next, here is a sample code for creating animation. It's too long. So many boilerplates. Any solutions? Yes, I use the standard write template. It can improve our development speed. I'll show you a demonstration. And this time, I'm typing stls and only tapping tab key. We can easily create a status widget. As same way, st-full and tapping tab key, we can easily create a stateful widget. It's very useful assistant feature. But unfortunately, there are only 8 templates. Any other solutions? Yes, I heard. Here is a great plugin. The name is Flutter Snippets. After adding this plugin, we can improve our development speed. Even if it doesn't cover our full boilerplates, but we can add the original templates here. By doing this process, we can accelerate our development more and more. And one more topic, to improve our user interface and user experience, I must customize user interface. I'd like to show some demonstration. I'd like to add some padding around text field by using this feature, select widget, and only tapping in the menu, I can easily add padding around text field. Okay, I must wrap up my presentation. Finally, I'd like to recap 3 important points. A combination of Flutter and Firebase is one of the most great approach for developing cross-platform apps. In my talk, I focused on Firebase authentication and cloud-based tool, but there are so many attractive features on Firebase. By using Firebase, we can cut some developing costs. It means we can allocate the extra cost for improving our UI and user experience. Here are some links. Now I'd like to finish my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention. I'll post today's material on Twitter later. The QR code is a link for my Twitter account. Thank you for attending my session. Okay. Thank you for your question. Oh, oh, I'd like to share my presentation file, but unfortunately, I have no example today's application because this is my product code. I can't share on GitHub, but my presentation includes some sample code. You can refer these codes. Okay. If you have no other questions, I'd like to finish my presentation. Thank you for attending to my presentation. Thank you so much.